Okay, so here we go. Backwards examples. In one game of football, a football team has offensive drives of 45, 43, and so forth. These are all the runs they did, the drives. The coach wants the team to achieve, right? You want a mean of 35 yards per drive, right? Mean is given. Mean is given. So write that down. 6 of them, okay? The mean is 35 yards, which means you need to find out what's missing, the missing piece, all right? So here we go. Mean is sum, right, divided by values, in a sense, right, in a nutshell. That's what the formula calls for. Do you want to know the fancy formula? Here it is. This is the fancy. This is the one that a textbook officially would use. It's like an encrypted code. Okay, this is the mean is the sum. This is the Greek letter sigma, right? The sum of all the values divided by the number of values, right? So this is like the official, right, formula that you would be given, but hey, we don't need to have that. So here we go. We know that this is 35. So I'm going to take a red pen here and just say, hey, we're going to substitute. We know our mean, so that's not what this is about. We want to know other things, right? So 35 is equal to the sum. So I'm just going to, for this one example, I'm going to actually show what I'm doing here. I'm going to add up all the values that I'm given. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 values here, but you want to know what is the next drive, what is that next test, what do I need to get on that next test, what is the next drive, how much do I need to make the next month to have a certain average, right? So you see I'm trying to extrapolate this, and we're going to divide this by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values, 6 drives. So you have yards at the top, and this is the number of drives within the context. So you have 35 is equal to, I have the key somewhere, but I like to go without a script. Okay, 177. So that's 177 yards plus the one that you're trying to figure out divided by 6. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it's 177. I'm checking if I got the right numbers. There we go. Took me 1 second, right? So now what happens now? Now you use inverse operations, guys. Your goal is to keep x on its own. Can you remember this? If you ever do like an aptitude test in Red River, they will test you on these kinds of things. Like, do you know this kind of stuff? You cannot, guys. You cannot just go, I'm going to subtract 177 on both sides. You cannot do that because the 6 is affecting both of these values. So unless you get rid of the 6 that's dividing both of them, you cannot do anything with these numbers yet. Okay? So we're going to multiply both sides by 6. That is your first order of business, and that allows us to do this. That's essentially what we want to do there. And then you go 6 times 35, 210. That's 177 plus x. Now we're talking. Now the 6 is gone. Now you can subtract 177 from both sides. Right? This essentially gets rid of that. So this is just x. And we take 177 away from 210, so that's 33 yards. The last drive, the next drive, has to be 33 yards. Okay, if you want that 35-yard average, the next drive has to be 33 yards. Is that doable based on, let's look at, is it reasonable to expect that based on the numbers? I think it's very possible, right? Knowing that the team had a 45, a 43, and a 44, 33 isn't out of reach, right? So I'm going to ask you that from time to time. So let's say we do the average for a student. Here are the test scores for the student: 50, 60, 70, 50, 65. And then you do the average, you need a 95 next time. Is it reasonable to expect a 95 given that you have only scored like a 70? That was your highest score up until that point, right? So sometimes it's not realistic to expect that. Does the number seem logical? What might be an explanation for this number, right? Yes, it seems logical. A 33-yard drive is possible to achieve, given that the team had a 45-yard drive in the past. Okay. Go to page 24 and try that one. Guys, 24 is the exact same thing. You just have to watch out what are the numbers asked. Okay, this is just a table. So this is the same thing. So please figure this out. Try question 6 on page 24. And I will go over it in a bit. Okay, so I don't know if we want to put like backwards at the top. This is definitely another backwards example. How do you know that? How can you find out almost right away? Because it says the mean is 1290. The mean number of passengers per day is that, right? So mean is given. Mean is 1290 passengers per day. So that stands to reason that, okay, I'm going to have to do some work on the side. So this is what I'm going to do because the table is right there. I would say, right, this is X, which is unknown to me. I can already add up what I do know, and that is, anybody, 8102, right? So 8102 plus the 1 day that we're going to figure out to get this average. Okay, so we go, right, sum divided by values. I'm going to be introducing the units a bit more, right? So it's 1290, right? And then you have 8102 plus X. You can use another variable if you don't like X, okay? And then we have 7 days that we're considering, right? 7 days. That's what the 7 is for, right? So here we go. The first order of business is multiply both sides by whatever is in the denominator here. And we slowly want X to be all on its own, right? Basically what I'm doing is that multiplying both sides by the same thing doesn't affect the equal sign, right? You keep balance. So 7 times 1290 is 9030. This is 8102 plus X. We're so close now. Now this is adding to X. So the opposite operation is subtracting, right? you can bet money that you're going to have at least one of these on the test, even quiz. So just be prepared for that. And so when you do this, you get 928 passengers. Right? On Sunday, you'd have 928 passengers. I always want you to ask this question, regardless of if whether or not the question itself is asking it, does that number make sense? Right? So we go up there, every day we have over 1,000, all of a sudden we have 928. But it's on a Sunday. So it does make sense, right? It kind of makes Sunday, most people do not work on Sundays, so it makes sense that we have less passengers on that day. And sometimes I'll ask you to explain why you think it's logical. Yes, right? Since most people are off on Sundays. Right? Therefore, fewer passengers on the bus. Give me a little sentence or two, but you don't need to write me a paragraph. Okay? Okay. You're tired, I know. We don't have much left this week and next week, Thursday, then we write our tests. Okay? So I still have things to cover. Let's go to page 25. That is going to be, I'm going to leave you with that today. Okay? And you might think, how is this backwards, right? How is this backwards? Well, it does give you the mean. So it's going to ask you, hey, what do you need to charge on that next lawn mowing service to get that average income, right? So, and there's a bit of a curveball for B, right? B takes it a little further. And that's it. I'm going to scan that and post it.